So I have some special guests with me here. You want to introduce yourselves, guys?
Yes, I'm Jamie, also known as Wizard Boy.
My name is AJ. I'm from BK.
Yo, and my name is Armand.
All right. So today, oh yeah, and I'm Brooklyn, but but yeah. So today I'm gonna be asking them some questions. More so, I'm gonna focus on a couple of topics. But right now, I want to ask them about what they think about what's going on in the world and how we should move forward with it or about it. If that made sense. Yeah.
So I feel like right now the world's in kind of a place where people aren't focused on creativity because they're too busy just trying to survive. And I think that that's like detrimental to people's psyche in general and the processing of emotions. And I think that it's affecting all of us more than we realize.
When it comes to the world, I feel like we are going through some kind of spiritual warfare. A lot of people is not really connected to themselves because of projection, and most people just surrounding themselves around energies that's like just suppressing who they truly are energetically and spiritually.
I think one of the biggest problems I see, especially in America, with a hyper individualistic culture is what I kind of think of as some social isolation. And we see that with the death of third spaces and the suppression of community, where people are focused, like Jamie said, just trying to survive. They're on their own. They're not really thinking in terms of community, helping each other. And it leads a lot of us to be cut off in a very negative headspace.
Yes. I want to tap back into the part where you added suppression of community, because I feel like that's like major. I feel like that's something I talk about a lot, which is the fact that community is, we don't see it as much as we used to. Like, it's unfortunate, very unfortunate,
And
actually.
it's very deliberate too. It's very deliberate. I think third spaces, I mean, even we saw it
I
here,
agree.
where this beach here in LA is closed. There's a curfew now, 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. It's illegal to even be on the beach past a certain time, where third spaces are being phased out. Loitering laws are getting stricter. You can't exist in public anymore without it being a crime.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree with that. You can't exist in public without it being a crime. Like,
Unless
Just-
you're doing some sort of business.
yeah.
Unless you're engaging in the machine, yeah.
I feel like the main thing is that all of this is intentional just because of the new world order. They're trying to get everything into play where they can regain control, because a lot of us are waking up spiritually, and that's why they want us to separate from each other, because as a collective, the more that we all gain a communal consciousness, the more that we will be able to see the matrix and try to distance ourselves from it. So I feel like that's why this is intentional.
I agree. I think you hit it right on the nail. Like, yeah, it's very much intentional, and everyone is waking up right now, which is why it's the best time to control as much as possible, take away as much as possible. Because like you guys are understanding and aware of too much right now. Now we have to shut some shit down again and gain control in the ways we need, so you guys cannot move forward in the ways you need to, which is consciously and spiritually. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because it's like to awaken a collective consciousness and to be able to use that awakening to further any change, there has to be community and there has to be connection. And I feel like right now everybody is very tapped into social media. And so social media originally, I think, was designed to be the alternative to social connection in person, and then COVID was kind of the follow-up to that, where it was kind of like, okay, now everyone has social media, now we're going to cut out social spaces. And so now everyone is kind of only tapped in through social media
Yes.
instead of in person, and we have lost our intuitive collective connection. So like the capacity to telepathically communicate, the capacity to connect on an emotional and intellectual level has been lost in a way, because everybody is focused on who's posting what or who's updating what in a system, instead of understanding that exists within us. Like, if we take away social media, we also have that innate connection within us to where we can communicate without having to necessarily be face to face.
I like what you said about COVID, and one thing I noticed is ever since then, people have been on edge, very agitated, rude, and mean to each other. No one's really connecting anymore. Everyone's, since the pandemic, been on their own, in this me, how can I survive? How can I do this, that, and the third?
very much a
without
selfish
any
community.
consideration for anyone
Or
else.
selfish environment. I agree.
Another thing is I feel like I it's cliche, but like we all know, COVID was planned. You feel me? All of this and the henna virus, all that next shit, like 5G, 6G, all the fucking heavy metals that they have us consume. All of this is planned to literally detach ourselves from ourselves. And I don't know, like I feel like detoxing is very important. You feel me? All of that stuff is very important, you know. But we also have to align ourselves to be in that kind of headspace to be able to put ourselves there because you know it's not easy to get that get there.
You're right. You're right. It's not easy to get there, and I like what you said about detoxing because I think that there's physical detoxing where like you can take something that can purge your physical body, but there's also spiritual detoxing that I feel like a lot of us neglect, and there's communal detoxing which I also feel like we've neglected. So
Truly.
there are certain so how everybody's tapped into social media. I want to touch back on that is because everyone's tapped into that. The majority of people only believe what they see on social media. They don't fact check it. They don't look into it. They don't discuss anything with people outside of that. So now we have different categories or boxes of people that we have placed ourselves into because of a certain category that we're given. And because of that, there's tension and there's strife between different genders, different races, different cultures, because we're all pushed into these little boxes and we all think that because what we see on social media is pain and anger, that is all that there is. And not to say that those things are not real, but I think that there's a lot more love than we realize. We just have to be the ones to show up and talk about it and kind of detox our community of hatred and detox our community of these biases and stereotypes that we live by because we're so like propagandized with the news and social media and everything like that.
All right. So if you look at in-group versus out-group psychology, if you're able as a government to divide a bunch of collective individuals into boxes, like you said, trap them in these boxes, have all of them wear like these metaphorical hats and MAGA, like literal hats at this point, where you're kind of presenting your ideology out front and anyone who doesn't agree with you is in your mind the enemy. It's completely pointless, but it's also manufactured. I mean,
Yeah, I want to add to the fact that I always say that when it comes to our people, they made so many different reasons for us to fight each other, for us to be against one another. And that's what they want because that'll keep us distracted. The point is for all of us to be together, to join, to become one. Because there are 13 families that are in control right now, and the things they're doing is not okay. And if we do not come together and become one, they're only going to continue to do what they're doing, which is disgusting, horrible, horrific things. So, yeah, I definitely feel like that has to do with that or adds to it.
Yeah, and the division of us as a people is like what is sustaining what's going on right now. Because if you think about it, like let's tap into the Epstein files. So let's say that this had been put out like 20 years ago. 20 years ago that the Epstein files have been put out. I honestly feel like there would have been a group of some people that would have done something about it in some type of way because they were connected enough to each other to be able to stand up and say or do something. But at this point, people are so divided that you're more worried about what political party someone is tapping into or what gender identity or sexuality or race somebody is, instead of saying, hey, A, B, and C is wrong. Can we just knock that out? Yeah. And like, obviously there are certain opinions that people have that like further that division. But I feel like the more that we talk to each other, the more that we all realize that we are only human and that we have all been lied to, and that we have the same goals. Everybody wants to be fed and feel safe and wants their family to be okay and safe and healthy.
We are literally all different but the same.
Yeah, literally, we want the same thing.
If you look at the differences between people and political parties, like you'll realize a lot of us have much more in common than you would originally think, and that's exactly the point: is to try and alienate each other.
Yes. I feel like everyone expressed that perfectly. So now I feel like since we all kind of expressed why we believe these things are going on or what the issue is, how do you guys feel like we should go about it besides, yes, coming together, but there's also other, things that we can do, and what do you guys think that is?
I feel like a main thing that we can do is one, something that a saying that I really resonate with is you know, something can't control you if it doesn't have power over you. You can't allow something to have power over you, because once you do allow that, that's when, you know, things start to crumble, you know. And at the end of the day, it also starts with you before it starts with a community. Like, for example, all the creatives that's out there, like, you know, putting their stuff out and, you know, being truly authentic to themselves, you know, that it could shine a light, it could spark up lights in other people that you know, that look up to that, because it's not really much that's around, you know, it's not really much creatives that's, you know, out and expressive, you know. And I feel like that's very important, you know, because even though if it's something that you do, you know, on your own, you know, it's something that people could pick up as a collective just by, you know, looking at it and admiring it.
I definitely agree with that. It starts with the individual. So as we work on ourselves, like, because we can say all these things and people can hear what we just said and get freaked out and like super stressed out about the weight of the situation that we are collectively in. But it starts with yourself. And the more that you can bring yourself into a grounded state, the more that that regulates the people around you. I've been doing a lot of research lately on how self-regulation is proven to help regulate the people around you. So it's like, as you, like, if you meditate in a certain space and there's a lot of people or chaos going around there, the crime decreases in that area as you meditate. Like, that was a study that was done. And so I think it's very important that you touched on that and like, it starts with the individual. But I also do think that to move beyond that is, it starts with open connection as well. So dropping the biases that you have about everybody and just having a conversation. And that is on all plans, on all fronts, from anyone. Like, just dropping any bias that you have and approaching it from a, okay, who are you and why do you think the way that you do, instead of fuck you for thinking the way that you do.
You need to figure out where everything stems from.
And
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
to piggyback off of what Jamie said, like, it, like, I forgot what I was gonna say.
If you like that.
That word. So, meditation and mindfulness, like, is very important, you know, because once you're able to put yourself into like a certain space and stuff like that, like, you get to realize and you get to have more empathy for other people, because when you're able to reflect like within yourself and you get to see like the aspects in other people that, you know, that maybe you didn't like about yourself, you know, you could have empathy because you've been there before, you know. And empathy is something that's also really important, because, you know, we can't always just be mad and stuck up, because everybody is going through it at some point of level.
That's something I kind of. Oh my god, felt kind of famous for a minute. I was like, oh my god. But right, but what shit? Now, okay, what was I saying? What did you just end
I
on?
was talking about empathy.
Empathy. Damn.
Yeah, I got one. Okay. So I think so we touched on empathy. I think another thing that's going to help us break out of this cycle is creativity, because everything lately has been automated. It's been like, things are being pushed to revolve around machines. There's not color in our environment. You walk into any city and it's gray, it's dark, it's
Yeah.
right.
Especially in the
Creativity and
schools.
architecture, for sure.
Yes, exactly. And especially, and so, and you'll notice like how the architecture in different countries is usually, it's a flow, it's circular, which is the way of life. Everything is a circle. Our cells, the atoms, like, we are circular
Everything's a
beings.
box here.
Everything,
Fucking
you're
cell.
right. Everything's a
They are trying to
box.
take
Yeah,
that fucking energy and trap it.
literally, everything's a
Yes.
box. And so, like, creativity is the next step. It's like individual work. Creativity is part of that work. Painting, doing something creative, making music. I don't know, run around in a circle screaming, making something of yourself that you can share with other people is so important, because if we are all reflections of God or source or the universe or whatever you want to call it, that is creation, which means that we are all creators. And if we are having creation stripped from us and being pushed towards automation, that is where another aspect of the problem lies, is the lack of creation. If people had the ability to be stable without having to work a full-time job just to survive, putting themselves in a constant state of stress, we would all be creating. That's why a lot of rich Nepo babies are artists. It's because when you have nothing to worry about, you create.
That part. No, you said it.
No, that's why you see AI being pushed so heavily. When you
No, for real. It's trying to take away from that
Yeah.
creative.
When
yeah,
you turn a bunch of people into creatively inept human robots, they'll do nothing but be forced or feel like they're forced to engage in the capitalist machine and just exist perpetually in this downward spiral of stress and anguish where they're being nothing but exploited. They're not creating nothing. They're just trapped in a box.
Word. And to piggyback off of what he said, like when it comes to AI, like it definitely is killing creativity, but it's also making a lot of people lazy. Like you know, it takes
Yeah,
it
that's
takes
the
a
point.
lot. You know, it takes a lot of training and like you know learning on how to do a certain skill to perfect that. But when you just have something that could just generally like that could just generate you know whatever you thinking, like there's really nothing creative about that, you know. And it really takes away from the authenticity, and it takes away from like you know the actual connection we get from actually you know
Yeah.
figuring out how to do something on our own and actually achieving that thing.
Not even just from a sociological standpoint, but if you look at clinical studies that come out from AI users, that shit rots. I don't know if I can cuss.
Oh yeah, do your thing.
Yeah. No, that shit rots your brain. That shit rots your brain. It like MRI scans from longitudinal studies, it shows that long-term repeated AI use completely deteriorates the matter in your brain and your cognitive capabilities.
Yes, I've said this so much. Is you are deteriorating your cognitive function, and it seems cute and fun to a lot of people to just like press a button and have something automated for you, but it takes away from who you are. It takes away from your ability to process things. Like there are people who literally do not know what it is to handwrite an essay. There are people who cannot spell. There are people who are genuinely illiterate, and it's getting worse and worse. And that is not like that is not to judge people, but that is to say when we are illiterate, we cannot look into our own history, we cannot read our own laws, and we cannot know our rights. And that is where they are pushing people because of like think about how quickly it took for them. It took 2 generations for them to eradicate the knowledge of how to garden and how to self-sustain. It only took 2 generations after the Industrial Revolution for them to eradicate that knowledge. I don't know how to do those things, and I guarantee most people here don't. And our generations before that, they knew how to take care of themselves and sustain themselves, and it's only getting worse. And I feel like we are the last generation to know what it is to live without technology at our fingertips, to know what it is to have tangibility in our lives. And I feel like it's kind of up to us to bring that back alive. Yes,
I think that's why I think Gen Z will be really good parents, much better parents than the millennials were.
But we're not having enough kids right now.
No, heavy on
And
that.
honestly, don't have kids. Don't bring no kids
No,
into this world.
it's
We
like
don't need no more.
No, but that's the thing. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it
We
so
are.
that the kids that we do have will have a safe space and you know
And
live.
those of us that do have children will be, I hope, raised in a peaceful, nourishing
we're
environment.
gonna create
Different
that.
than this.
No, my apologies. Go ahead. Actually, go ahead.
Okay.
Because I'm just gonna
No,
bring
you're
up
good.
movies that have already presented how these things are happening
Yeah.
and how it's being predicted
That's a good
programming.
one.
But yeah, you go ahead.
One thing I do want to touch on, I've often said this, is like I will not have kids unless I see a matriarchy before I'm dead. Like that is something I will not have children in the society in the way that it is now. But I also know that I'm not and I'm not saying I'm like in an egotistical way. I feel like I'm saying I'm in a collective way, like for all of us, to where I feel like I'm not okay with having kids and reproducing and making more life in this world until it's worth living in. And I want to have kids. I want a world worth living in, you know? And I feel like we can genuinely create that. We have the capacity to, and I feel the spark of inspiration coming for all of us. And I think that it's very important that we do have these discussions.
Alright, so to tap into that, I feel like it all of that also feeds into a duality because like where there's good, there's also bad. You know, where there's like good, there's evil. You know, and we could also like the world is literally your perception. You feel me? Like everything that you perceive, like some people is out here living great, you know, even though the world is going to shits and they don't have, you know, all the riches, they don't have all the fame, they don't have, you know, not much, but just because they're good within themselves, like their universe is really good. And that's what abundance also falls into. And also like, you know, even just teaching like the future generations of kids on how to be more abundant and be more appreciative of like, you know, what they have and like you know even if it's minimal like or like
You can keep going.
yeah, but I feel like at the end of the day like you know, there's it's a duality in it. Like the world, like it could change, but at the same time, like we always gotta expect, like, you know, it will be good and bad, ups and downs.
I think that I agree with what you said. How there is always an opposite to one thing. I think that there's different ways for that to manifest though, and I think that that's like where we're heading is the transmutation of the negative energy instead of just the like the festering of it and like it continuing to happen where there's like this extreme of really good and really bad. I think that we're bringing the world to a space of harmony where there is necessary pain. There is necessary pain without what is going on. There is grief, there is death, there is emotional hurt. There is grief in life without all this extra stuff being added on.
Oh yes.
And so I feel like it is very important to emphasize to this next generation the importance of valuing their own soul
Mm.
so that they can sit more in that energy of transmuting the pain that life naturally brings instead of creating more of it because they just want to feel something. Teaching the next generation how to feel love for themselves instead of only knowing pain.
See, it's unfortunate because I've worked in elementaries, and I get to see, you know, a lot of these young kids and the young generations right now, and they're not like I really hope that it can get to that point. But what I'm seeing is not that. These kids are really lacking. They lack empathy. They lack understanding. They're very smart, but because of the lifestyle they've been given or they've been born into, they don't know how to treat people, or they don't know how to, you know, in some ways act. And they don't know how to understand themselves and their emotions. Like, you know, and you can tell they would want to, or, you know, I would only expect them to. I know they came into this realm with empathy and with love, but they were only surrounded by this society, which is the iPad life, and getting programmed by all these different medias, and it's just affecting them in so many different ways. But then it's also lazy parenting, and all these things like are shaping our future as well. So it's like something to really think about is our youth right now and how they're being raised, because it's going to affect how things are later on, because we're going to only age. Like, you know, these vessels are not going to get any younger.
No.
So it's like it's going to pass on to them. Like right now, this is our chance to fix everything and fight for everything, because the last generation, they're older now and they're not going to be able to do it, even though, you know, they're a part of more MAGA and, you know, going the wrong route when they are able to do things. But yeah, right now it's like we are the ones who have to be able to fix things and do it now, because if it's not now, we don't know if it's ever going to be, based off of what they're doing to the current generations, to the younger generations.
So I wanna say something, right? So I appreciate everything that you said about you know, like parenting and you know, just getting kids prepared, you know. But I also feel like because I saw how I came up in my upbringing, like I didn't really have the best you know, home, or like I didn't really have people to look out for me, or like I didn't really have much of anything. My main thing that really actually helped me to grow as a person was getting myself out of my environment. And I say this to say all the anybody who's watching, like, you know, if you going through some shit like with your parents or like anybody, like, you know, as you get older, you will have the choice to either stay and, you know, continue on that cycle, or, you know, just be resilient and be strong and go your own path. Because when you do that, that's when you get to discover so much about yourself. You get to discover how the people that you want to be around. You get to discover different places that you actually will truly like. And just because you was born somewhere don't mean that's where you have to reside and live for the rest of your life, you know. And at the end of the day, like, change is like something that starts within you once you change your environment. Because once you're in the same environment that's toxic and it's not really much positivity, or it's not much.
Yeah, people can't grow when they're in the same environment. Like, yeah, it's like you can't live in your parents' house forever, because you're never gonna grow and really see the world and understand yourself in the ways you need to. So
Exactly.
that, yeah,
And yeah, so basically, like, yeah, my message is just like, you know, once you do feel like you ready to get up out there, like, really take that shot and be resilient and go for it. Like, your life will change for the better. or for
Uh,
the worse. It's the duality, you know.
I
That
agree.
experience it all.
I agree with that for sure. As soon as you have the chance to leave an environment that is detrimental to you, do it, because even though it might be harder for a minute, it'll be better because it's your choice and you're on your path. I also do want to touch on where you said lazy parenting. I think it definitely, like, in a lot of cases it is lazy parenting, but I think in a lot of cases it's also survival based parenting,
I can hear
because
that as well.
like
for
if
sure.
you have an animal who has a baby and that animal is starving, that animal will eat the baby to survive. So I feel like the human translation of this is, because a lot of adults are so emotionally repressed and so forced into a state of
Mm.
survival, they will put that on their children just so that they can have less to deal with.
Mhm.
And that doesn't make it okay, but I think that that's kind of why it turns into that, and like why it manifests in so much hatred in these children, because children are empathetic, very empathetic. So they are feeling what their parents are feeling, but they're not validated in that at all. So they're feeling all their emotions and everyone's around them, and then they're dismissed and they're told to repress it, and they are shown to repress it, and they're just given more and more pain on top of that to deal with. And so that's why I'm really happy you did say that about like leaving your environment when you have the opportunity to, because you might for a second feel like it's worse. I left a rough situation at like 17, and things were worse for a couple years. They were really rough, but in a way it was better because it was my own decisions, and those were things that taught me how to have empathy, that taught me how to be who I am, and they gave me a strength to push through, so that now that my life is going well, I have the capacity to maintain that instead of feeling too weak-willed to handle responsibility. So even if it gets worse, it always gets better.
Yes, yes, truly. No. Okay. Well, yeah. Is there anything? Oh, okay. So, what are physical actions we can partake in? We talked about the spiritual aspects and how to take care of yourself in order to be one with everyone else. But how can we physically prepare when it comes to fighting these types of things, as in government and what can we tap into?
Move your body. Move your body. Go dance. Go dance. I don't care if you drink or don't want to go out. Go dance. Dance in your room. Dance somewhere. Move your body, because trauma is stored in the body. The more that you move, the more that trauma is able to be let go of. Also, do not overlook things like massage and stretching and yoga, acupuncture, and a lot of people, that's not necessarily accessible. But stretching is something that you can do for free in your room. Move your body so that the trauma can move through you.
Another thing is speak up. Speak up. Your voice holds a lot of power. Literally, when you talk, you're literally shooting out a whole bunch of sacred geometry out of your mouth. Like that, it's a lot of like power within what you say and how you feel. And you should always speak on whatever moves you. Don't matter how somebody may feel about it. Like at the end of the day, like change really also comes, when it's more activists and there's more people that's talking and educating the youth and educating even adults that, that may resonate with other adults. Like, if you keep quiet, like it's a whole world of things that you could say that could potentially like help so much people, but the world will never know just because you never said anything.
Yeah, you never spoke up. Not only do you got to take care of your body, you got to heal, you got to grow, but you got to take care of your mind too. Education's being so aggressively defunded for a reason. So it don't matter what it is, read anything, listen to audiobooks, learn something every day so you can make your mind sharp.
I wanna piggyback off that, because when it comes to our brains, there's a lot of studies right now saying that based off of our screen time and things like that and lack of reading, more people are gonna have Alzheimer's. So that's where like we need to also focus on. We need to also focus on doing more like trivia games, as in like more number games like Sudoku. Learning a language, reading, just reading more, being more active, like really get your brain going, because that will make you more aware as well and like more in tune with yourself, and that will also like that like comes together with everything we've been saying this whole time. So it's like, once you're doing all those things for yourself, you're gonna see these things, but also too you're gonna tap into another side of your brain, and like I don't know, you'll know what I mean once you start to do it.
Yeah.
Once you feel it, like, yeah, it's,
Neglecting those aspects of your mind and your body will completely stifle your potential.
Yes, and in order to do anything that is new to you, you have to form new neural pathways in the brain, and you don't have the capacity to form new neural pathways in the brain. You don't have neuroplasticity unless you expand it. You have to work the muscle that is your brain. You need to read more. And tapping into that intellectual side of yourself, it gives you the capacity to learn new things. So even if it's a physical thing that you're trying to learn, you're going to have a harder time picking that up and instilling that within yourself unless you have the intellectual capacity to develop new neural pathways. Definitely take the time to develop your intellect so that you can develop your body.
yes. What were you going to say?